listening to the UK and the world's favorite wrestling podcast, RTM Wrestling, with your hosts, Andy and Emma.
And it started.
It's on. We're on.
Yep.
Show 2 of the week.
Show 2 of the week.
Must have been a lot of good stuff going on to do 2 shows in 1 week.
Yeah.
Nah, that's a joke. This one's a little bit more positive, I think.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Shit.
I win. I win the week.
I'm okay.
Oh, is it 1-1? You got the first one in on Wednesday.
I don't know whether I did actually. Yeah, I'm all right.
That becomes a competition. Who can say I'm doing first?
Yeah, I'm all right. So we did a podcast on. When did you say Thursday? Wednesday?
Thursday.
One of the days.
It was Wednesday because Dynamite was on that night.
Oh yes. So I've still not watched any wrestling.
You've watched AEW?
Did I?
Yeah, I had it on. You've seen most of it.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you were working at the same time.
Yes,
so it doesn't really count.
yes.
But
So
you know
I had half
what's
an
going
eye on it.
You know what's going on.
So yeah, other than that,
we're going to see Bruce Dickinson in a couple of weeks.
yes, we are going seeing Bruce Dickinson. Do like a little talky Q&A.
And it's not about his book, which is good.
No, but I mean, I imagine it's going to cross over because they're going to ask him like the same questions as they would have asked to promote the book, which is about his life and career. Do you know what I mean? It's the same shit.
Well, what? Because I looked at like what's it about, and it's about his career. It's like it's spoken word / podcast is how they promote it, which worried me a little bit. But I'm sure it'll be fine. But he's talking about his career, doing some like anecdotes and stuff and stories, and then taking questions from the audience. So it's not going to be like he's not going to be reciting his poetry or anything like that. One would hope, but
Poetry.
he doesn't. I don't know. He does. But
Okay.
God, your face then was just like, well, fuck that then.
No, it was just because I could only imagine what a Bruce Dickinson poem would sound like after his song about flying a plane. I don't know if the podcast and Mike's picked that up. There's a plane going over. What was that? What was that song?
That's Bruce.
That's Bruce. Yeah, just having a whiz around. Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but it was
It was
fucking
so
god-awful, wasn't it?
funny.
Was it a Maiden one, or was it actually one of his own?
I can't remember, but it was fucking tough.
It was no Aces High, was it?
It was
Hey,
tough.
hey!
Something about the beauty of seeing the sunrise while you're flying your own 747.
I
Talk about something you can't really identify with.
I bet Harris didn't have his foot up on the fucking on the PA then.
Oh,
It was just in the
crikey.
background.
Here's one for you, and maybe we can come back to this in the show.
Okay.
Speaking of...
Iron Maiden related or wrestling related?
It can be wrestling related. It can be wrestling related. But Iron Maiden related first.
Okay.
Bruce Dickinson related.
Okay.
If you had to ask him a question, it was compulsory, what would you ask him?
If I had to ask him a question, I would ask him, because I've just... it feels like a yearly thing, this. Like WrestleMania, where we watch a few Iron Maiden documentaries, kind of mark out over Maiden a little bit. And I was watching... we watched, and I couldn't help myself. I had to watch part 2 and 3 in
Are
bed.
you taking the piss?
But I don't mind watching 2 and 3 again, because
please, yeah.
yeah, definitely. So we watched like the
You
history
sneaky
of... I know,
bastard.
yeah. Well, I couldn't get to sleep, so... And then I was up at 7:30, and the fucking New Japan show didn't start till 9, you twats.
Oh my god, really?
Oh my god, they
What
said...
about it was still on?
said stream starts at 8 a.m, that was correct. But like... It was, the main card started at 9. It was like a pre-show hour with the KOPW thing, and I wasn't bothered about that. People getting handcuffed, whatever. But there's a really funny bit that I always love, which is there was a B-side of a shit single that I can't even remember what the song is, called Mission from Harry. And what it basically was, for anyone who's not heard it and anyone who's not asked about Iron Maiden, this might be a relatively interesting story, who knows. So Nico's the drummer, Steve Harris bass player. Harris's bass fucked up, so he asked one of the lighting guys to go and get Nico's attention and said, make your drum solo longer because the bass is fucking up.
I remember this because I have seen this documentary before.
Yeah, we've watched it. We've watched it about 4 times.
Yeah.
So this poor fucking lighting guy goes to try and get his attention. I'll cut it short. To which Nico chews the fucker out, like completely chews him out. And so him and Harris are arguing about it. And Bruce walks into the room and with a Walkman and starts recording him arguing. And when he walked in, the argument sounds a bit more chilled out, and Dickinson starts winding him up again and gets him back up again. And he's like, so Dickinson goes to Nico. He's like, well, what if a lighting rig was gonna fall on your head? He goes, oh well, fucking, you either drag me out the way or that's the end of me, then innit, you fucking mug, and all this sort of shit. Like just giving him shit. And then at the very end, Harris finds the Walkman and picks it up, and there's like silence for a couple of seconds, but you can hear the Walkman in somebody's hand, and Harris just talks into the Walkman and goes, some cunt's recording this. So then a couple of months later, they play it out in the studio, and they're all fucking laughing their asses off. So they put that on as a B-side to a single. So the Mission to Harry song is just that argument.
That's
which
hilarious.
is fucking so funny. So I think I would say, you know, obviously Mission to Harry is like a really, legendary argument that you took a Walkman in and recorded. Obviously, you know, nothing too bad, but can you remember a particularly funny argument that you all got into?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. But I wouldn't ask it.
No, of course not. But you had to,
because like somebody else will be asking him about singing, and will say, "Well, because I'm a singer," you know, and it's like, oh, "Shut the fuck up, mate." But yeah, I think if I had to ask him a question, I'd ask, you know, like Mission to Harry, is there any arguments that you guys have had that are equally or you know, something that's made you laugh when you've all talked about it afterwards, something that's made you laugh, not a proper argument.
Yeah.
You know, something that's stupid where you've all just laughed about it afterwards. Can you remember a particular time where you got angry with each other and then you were all mates again afterwards or something like that? I think that's what I'd ask. That's
a good question.
What about you?
You'd think I'd have something prepared.
Well, considering that was your question.
Yeah, but I don't.
Here's my question for you. How can that relate to wrestling later on?
Well, I was thinking if I named you some wrestlers who were having a Q&A and you have to ask them a question.
Okay.
What would you ask them?
Oh, shit. It's tough, that, really, because you got to...
I know, because you never get an answer.
Yeah.
You just kind of throw a random question out there.
You can't say things like...
It can be facetious, because it's just you and I.
Yeah, okay. What's that beard, Kenny?
Yeah.
What's that beard about, mate?
To the young bucks, have you two had sex?
So my question is for Jay White. Jay, are you disappointed that your big, debut was on Impact, so in front of 2 people? Or I'm obviously being a twat there. I'm being a twat.
That fly's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, but we've got to have the window open, haven't we?
Keeps going to the 2 windows that are closed and the one that's wide open. It bypasses that one in the way that flies do every time.
It's dumb.
I know.
It's dumb fuck.
Anyway, shall we crack on?
Yeah.
How are you?
Let's crack on. Oh, how am I? Yeah, I'm alright. I've watched a little bit more wrestling. Apologies, ROH, but I ain't touched you this week. There's been a lot of things going on this week. Like stuff for the college stuff and music. We've got one of those. Is it Bose? What's that?
A Bose speaker. Because when we went on holiday, the place we stayed had one of those, the old school version now, the docking thing where you put your iPhone on it, or other non-branded phone of your choosing. And we were amazed by the sound it kicked up because we'd been listening to music out of our laptops for fucking years, so you just get so used to it. So
used to not being able to hear the drum kit.
Yeah, no bass line, nothing. So now we can actually hear music the way it was intended, the way nature intended it.
Can blast Planet Rock out of it.
Yeah, where rock lives.
Which is awesome. But other than so to drag us kicking and screaming into wrestling. So I've watched AEW. I've got a full rundown of that, so we'll do that in a bit. I got up this morning pretty excited because of this Tokyo Dome show. I still didn't know whether Ibushi was going to be on it or not. It turns out he wasn't. Turns out it didn't matter, which we'll get onto in a bit. And when it started, I was a little bit disappointed, but we'll talk about that more later on. So hello everyone, welcome once again. We are RTM Wrestling. This is episode 168. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're well. Hope you're safe. Hope you've all had your second jabs. We had ours yesterday.
Yeah, that was something that happened.
Oh God, it's kicking my ass today.
I've just got a little bit of a sore arm, but I think going to the gym has sort of helped.
Has it?
Yeah, because I've kept working and I was having to work my arm, and I think the longer you sit and your arm doesn't move, then when you move it, it hurts.
Yeah.
But it didn't... I can't remember whether the first jab was two nights after I'd had it was the worst night's sleep, or it was the night I had it that was the worst night.
Last night for me was the fucking worst.
Because I was okay last night. I was okay. I did have dreams though, and I know dreams are really boring for everybody to hear, but I was stuck in a hospital on the top floor, and these blood-sucking monsters were just... We were made to queue up by the monsters, and they just ripped us to shreds. Christ. And there was people in half with their first hat, with their top half still alive, and
so it was like 2 COVID jabs, but you just get eaten one half, and you got to wait 8 weeks for your second half to be eaten.
Oh, it was absolutely horrific. Shit. So aside from that, I slept okay, but yeah, I think keeping moving has helped. Yeah, a little bit.
While you were at the gym, I had a bit of a mess around on the guitar. And when I finished, I moved my arm, and I felt like it was getting ripped out the fucking socket. No. It was so shit.
Double jab now though.
Double jabbed.
Pew, pew.
Means I'm invincible. No. I'm sure it's going to come out in the next few weeks that it doesn't work. But who cares? Who cares? I'm sure hopefully it will.
It works. But you still can catch COVID. You just don't have as bad as symptoms. That's what people can't get their head around. They're like, oh, it doesn't work. But it's like, no, you can still get it. You can still catch it and test positive. Yeah. But you just, you're not likely to have as horrible...
Do people legitimately think if you have both these jabs, you'll never get test positive?
Yeah. And that's why they think it's a waste of time having COVID passports and all that shit. And the vaccination passports. It's like, but if we have it, then we're, it's less likely that you'll end up in intensive care if you're susceptible to it. So anyway, who am I to educate though? Like, who am I? Eh?
Well, the 5 people that are listening to this, hopefully you're all vaccinated. But yeah, so we're gonna... Obviously we did the Wednesday show. There was a lot of news that one particular story that we're probably going to go over again because there's been tiny developments. We might as well call it the Daniel Bryan CM Punk show over for the next month. Hardly anything other than that on AEW though, so there's going to be loads on AEW, a little bit on WWE, a little bit on, a reasonable chunk on New Japan. I've got a little bit for Impact and a little bit for GCW. What's GCW, you may ask? I'm sure you know. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Something that I did comment on a few weeks ago. And the result wasn't what I expected, but the match was. Somebody getting killed. So let's go. So All Elite Wrestling. So I put a little tweet out on Thursday. Got a couple of responses. So we got one from @RealKyleMasters, and if you don't know by now, you should. Does the All Elite podcast with Tiffany. Go and check that out. It's probably...
God.
What?
The bloody table then.
What was going on? Me pulling it.
Yeah,
oh shit,
yeah.
Sorry. Probably the biggest AEW fan podcast that's going.
Absolutely.
And if that's not right, Kyle, I'll believe you. But no, I'm sure it is. But he's put... last night's Dynamite was fun as fuck to watch. It felt like last week was a tad better, but every week it seems like AEW is going to bring it. And with Danielson and Punk in a potential New Japan Pro Wrestling Super Show announcement coming, AEW is going to be doing 2 million viewers in no time. So this isn't part of the news, but it should have been. So I've dropped the ball big time on this. But on Wednesday, so on Dynamite this Wednesday, Khan is going to do an announcement about a gigantic show.
Okay. That
they're going to be doing.
What do you think that is?
I think Carl's right with the New Japan Super Show, but I don't think it's just going to be New Japan, because we've got, and I don't know if I've put this in the news, but maybe I have, and if we have, we'll just go over it again. But Slammiversary, I might have put it in the in Wednesday's show actually. But Slammiversary, they had a Bound for Glory promo video. Within that promo video, there was AAA, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling logos, which suggests a super show of sorts. That's the topic of the show. I think I've thought one.
Okay. Well, I did have a Q&A thing, but yeah, whatever.
No, we'll do that.
I'm joking. That was shit.
No, this is shit as well. So they're going to be doing a big announcement live on TV. Now, if it's a New Japan Super Show, then sign me up.
Where do you think they would have that? I mean, obviously in America, I would have thought.
I've got a feeling. Do you
reckon they're going to stadium it up?
I don't think it's going to be a stadium.
Right.
But I think they might do Madison Square Garden.
Okay, yeah.
Because they've got 2 shows in New York coming up.
Uh-huh.
One, I think, is New Jersey. The other is Wrestling Grand Slam, or whatever, which they've nicked off New Japan. But they're in a tennis stadium, so they get away with it. The tennis stadium thing is more than likely going to be the debut of Bryan, which we'll get to in a second. I've got a feeling that it's Madison Square Garden, because the reason why I say that is because the ROH New Japan show, it was during WrestleMania week. Mm-hmm. So that's why they sold it out from most people. Do I believe that's why? No. I think it would have sold out, but just not as quick. Because most people, if you go back and watch the G1 Supercard from Madison Square Garden, the New Japan guys are the ones getting cheered out of the building. Unfortunately for the ROH talent, it was good reactions, but it weren't, Ibushi versus Naito reactions, where everyone was going fucking crazy. It wasn't Okada against Jay White reactions, where everyone's going crazy. So if you look at that and say, right, the New Japan guys, well, if you believe Jay White, single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden. You throw the AEW people into that, and I think it sells out easily. If it's like a G1 Supercard show. Because it makes sense, because G1 is going to be starting at some point. I think a couple of weeks ago I did like a news thing where they've announced the actual dates for the G1. So it makes sense that this announcement has something to do with the G1. Especially if Moxley, Archer, Omega, I don't think Omega will, but Moxley, Archer, maybe a couple of others are in the G1. So if it's not Madison Square Garden, because New Japan love Madison Square Garden, and they keep talking about it like they want to go back, and I think the only way they can go back is through AEW. Now, what do I want to see that? I want to see that as the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium, because put 30,000 tickets on sale and see how it goes.
Do you think, and this might be stepping on the toes of what you're going to talk about later,
it doesn't perhaps,
matter. But Impact would be part of it, surely.
Yeah,
they would have so it'd be AEW, Impact, New Japan.
I think for this Super Show, I think what they're going to do, because and we kind of, again, I'll talk about some of this in a bit more detail in a bit. I think they're going to do some sort of triple threat for the title in the main event. And right now, as it stands right now, I think the 3 would be, because I think that Brian Myers is the number 1 contender for the Impact title now.
Okay.
Which is interesting, but weird. So if you were going to just take the current champions and the current number 1 contenders, I think it's going to be a triple threat match between Omega, Shingo, and Myers, something like that.
Right.
Where everything's up for grabs.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not Omega comes out of that with the belts or not, who knows? Who knows if he'll have the belts going into that, because I'll talk about that a little bit later. But there's got to be some sort of thing, because the thing with this, and obviously AAA can join that as well as a fatal four-way. With Andrade, we've got Triple Mania coming up with Andrade against Omega. There's infinite possibilities, which is the great thing about this. But I really don't know. But I think some sort of supercard where everybody's involved, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense just to team up. Because the thing is, right, and you can be a fan of WWE, and you can enjoy AEW as well. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like that. Fan of both, fan of everything. People can be fans of everything. But there is probably quite a vocal minority that would travel. Because the thing is with WrestleMania, you always see WrestleMania like 80, 90,000 people. It's not, it's 60, but they tell you it's 90. But, you know, they sell it out, WrestleMania. When we went, it looked like a sellout. There was fucking thousands upon thousands of people there. That is one event a year where all the vocal minority go. Probably 10% families, right? All the people who buy the travel packages from the UK are all that vocal minority. That's what all these people... They rely on all those people to spend all that money on tickets. Because like we went, and we wouldn't go and see a Raw in Manchester, because we know it's shit, even at the time. So... if they say, right, Jacksonville, Florida, dead easy place for people to get to. It's not like fucking Chicago, where, you know, the arena's like a fucking half an hour train ride away from the city centre of Chicago, then plus an Uber. You know, it's not easy to get to. Whereas the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, I'm assuming, is easy to get to. You can stay in Florida. I can't remember which end of Florida they're at. It's not Orlando, it's the other one.
Tampa? No, is that? I don't know anything about. I should know.
No, it's Jacksonville.
Hey!
So you can stay. You'll be able to stay in Jacksonville. You'll be able to get an Uber relatively easily to Daly's place, which is the bit that's off the side. You know, for like the other shows, like Dynamite and all that kind of stuff. You know, do it like a package, a bit like they're doing for All Out.
Yeah.
So I think they're testing this out at All Out.
Okay. Because
you've got Dynamite, Rampage and All Out all happening from the same building. So they're doing 3 shows in 1 week at the same building. And again, it's all a test for that kind of super show. And I want them to have the balls to put it in a stadium and say, we've got a stadium, we're going to do it during the off-season, which is technically the off-season now, so it'd have to be in like a year's time. So that might not fit in with the G1. But I want them to have the balls to say, this is this, here's your travel packages, this is what's going to happen. It's going to be New Japan, AEW, maybe not ROH, because doesn't seem to be anything going on, which is a bit of a shame for ROH. It's going to be Impact, AEW, AAA, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And we're going to do an AEW-themed super show, because it's our stadium. But we're going to do this massive show. It's going to be over 3 days. We're going to have Dynamite, we're going to have Rampage. You know, there'll be Dark and Elevation, there'll be podcasts, there'll be meet and greets, there'll be fan zones and all this kind of shit. And then on the Sunday night, you'll get the pay-per-view. Put it in that fucking stadium. Get the balls to do it in that stadium. Just fucking do it. Because if they sell... Because the thing is, like, Tokyo Dome today, I know the ticket sales were restricted because Tokyo is still in a fucking state of emergency. And it did look a bit shit because there were so many empty seats and there were so many spaces between people. It looked like they could have just done this from an arena and they would have been fine somewhere outside of Tokyo. But do it. Just fucking have the balls to do it, Khan. Just say, right, what week can we just be here all week? And it can just be a massive loving. It doesn't matter if fucking, you know, if you open it up and it's like 55,000 seats. If you sell 35,000 seats, which you would do easily, you'd easily sell 35,000 seats if you've got decent ticket prices. You know, like, everyone's going on about fucking SummerSlam and the fact that they've sold 45,000 tickets. It's like over 30,000 of those 45,000 tickets were $25. So that's why they've sold so many tickets. Now, obviously, you've got the thousands of dollars and you've got the travel packages and all that kind of stuff going on for Vegas. But they've got to do it. Put them at $10. Who fucking cares? Like, the back, like, 20, you know, the back 30 rows, which will probably be about 10,000 people all around that stadium, $10. Fuck it. Let's just see how many people we can get in here. Because they're going to buy drink, they're going to buy booze, they might buy a ticket to come to the meet and greet, they might fucking get a, you know, and then you have the ones that you thought you were going to sell anyway, $35 or $25, $35 and up.
Yeah.
And then the back rows, just fucking $10. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Up a tier, $10. So that people can just go and take their families and, you know, and have a good time and get the tailgate parties going and all that kind of shit. Loads of people go for $10. And then the rest of them can be travel packages and all that kind of shit.
They wouldn't have a problem, I don't think, selling.
I don't think they would. Not at the moment. If, and again, we're stepping...
Sorry.
Kyle's making us step on our toes here. But if the rumours are true, which we'll get to in a second, I don't... For the very first one, I don't think it'll make a difference. But let's curb that.
Okay.
So, next tweet, Axel_JMO. Go and follow him. He's a good guy. He's a Viking. Thought the show was alright, again. I think the hype of Punk and Bryan before a weekly show, that's nothing to do with them, isn't the best prep. Andrade versus any of the Death Triangle will be amazing. Moxley being slammed on the point of the chairs was nasty. Glad Lance won. That spot, for me, was the worst one of the match. When he turned them chairs round, I was like, nah. And then he kind of... It was that weird thing, like, do you know when you watch, like, fail videos of, like, skateboarders?
Yeah.
And shit. And they kind of, like, flip and then land on a bar and kind of hover there for a bit.
Oh, God.
And then... Because, like, the body kind of, like, curves around it and then comes back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my God.
It was just horrendous.
This fucking guy. But anyway, we'll get to Dynamite in a second. But much has been written about Daniel Bryan in the recent months. The quiet nature of the WWE departure had everyone scratching their heads. And now, according to Bodyslam.net, Bryan is locked into a deal with AEW. This comes just days after the PW Insider reported that WWE was not factoring Daniel Bryan into merchandising and licensing plans for 2021-22. Bodyslam has since updated the current plan call for Daniel to debut September 22nd at Grand Slam from New York City's Arthur Ashe Stadium. AEW put great care into planning their events, often running quite far in advance. So having a star like Bryan debut at a big event would make sense. And this is the key point. And this is what I've heard over and over and over and over again. And I think this could be argued back and forth a little bit. So it made great sense for him to appear at a big event. It would also allow for existing plans to reach their head at All Out September 5th. So keep that in your brain for a second. So it also appears CM Punk is playing into these AEW rumours by not denying reports and also putting on his Instagram stories a clip of the song, I think it's Cyrus, by the Alan Parsons Project, which is popularly known as the Chicago Bulls theme from the Michael Jordan era. And I think he put The Last Dance on it.
Funny.
So AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, as they always do, changed their Twitter bio, which read at the time, "Are the rumours true? ? I don't know. We just hope they'll take our finish well." So, first so two-part question then. So I've just thought of another one. So first one. If it was you,
yes,
if you're Tony Khan, and Daniel Bryan, as of now, which is what everybody's saying, as of now, has signed a WWE. Oh, by God, doing a Jim Ross there. An AEW contract. He's signed.
Yeah.
Would you leave him till Arthur Ashe, or would you get him on Dynamite on Wednesday?
it's really tough, isn't it? I admire Tony Khan for letting the storylines play out. I think that really does show some serious long-term planning, and the fact that shit is set in stone, and a very singular-minded person, a very determined person who will not deviate at all from the track that he's put together. And that's a certain type of person that I admire, because I'm not that person. So, would I? Yeah, I think I might. But we don't know what they've got planned for the big reveal. And just bringing him out on Dynamite for the sake of the rumours are out, so we best just show him, and obviously they'll get a big pop. You know, it would come off the back of Cena coming back. You know, it's a proper like middle finger. You know, it's a bit like it brings the war back if they were to do that, I think. Yeah. And while that is appealing on one side, if they've got naught to do with him, or they would be taking someone out of something to put him in, or shoehorn him into something, I don't think it's worth doing. But it's hard not to. Really hard.
Yeah, it really is. Because for me, like, let's just talk about both of them like they're a single entity. We can branch out maybe later, you know, talking about what we'd do with either of them if we can be bothered. It's hard because you think about it and you say, right, okay, if Daniel Bryan signed, that's too big of a surprise for Dynamite. So TNT, they're not going to be happy with that. So if he's going to be on Dynamite this Wednesday, they have to announce something beforehand. No, because the cat's already out of the bag. You know, everybody said, you know, it's not. I'll believe both of these when I see it. But according to all the, you know, the journalists, if you can call them that, they're both signed. Like, it's both done.
Yeah.
So, if they were going to do it on Dynamite on Wednesday, they'd have to announce something beforehand. Like, 2 major signings, or we're going to announce a new major signing, like, tonight. And then next week you announce another major signing. And you have them just do a walkout, and then it's like a couple of weeks, like they did with Andrade, and then they have their debut match after a couple of weeks of, you know, just talking shit. That's kind of one way to do it. The other way to do it, which I think is what they're going to go for, and I think in the long term, it'll be better for the fans, is the pay-per-view debuts, the pay-per-view surprises, because it makes those pay-per-views must-see.
Yeah.
Like, if you put all your, you know, your surprises on a Dynamite, you announce them like beforehand, like, oh, there's going to be a big surprise tonight, which they're kind of doing with this show. You know, saying, oh, there's this you know, big show coming up that we're gonna announce on Wednesday. If you do that, then the TV networks are going to be really happy, because you'll probably get a little bump. But they're in such a unique position at the moment, AEW, as far as television ratings go, because they're in uncharted waters at all times. So they were doing, you know, 800,000, they got a new deal. They were doing slightly more, they got a new deal. They're doing even more. Are they going to get fucking 3 new deals in 2 years? All for 3 years? Because so the move to TBS is an improved contract. It's millions more a year. Just because they move into TBS.
Yeah.
So it's dead hard, isn't it?
It's really so difficult. It is so difficult. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But you also are, you know, you're rewarded either way, I think.
Yeah.
And
I think the fans in the long term are more rewarded by the way I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Whereas, you know, the network and the business side of it would be more rewarding. Because the thing is, because it throws a lot of shit up into question. If Bryan and Punk both sign, is Kenny Omega going to get beat off Hangman? No, I don't think he is. I think he's going to roll into All Out. This is what I think is going to happen. So Bryan, they're going to leave till the Arthur Ashe Stadium, right? Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega at All Out. Omega's going to win. The lights are going to go off. And because they'll have bought the rights, Cult of Personality is going to hit. And out comes Punk.
Yeah, okay.
And then the main event of Arthur Ashe Stadium is Omega Punk AEW title. Whatever happens then is whatever happens then. But then that's when you bring Daniel Bryan out.
Crikey. And
it's just one after another, after another, after another. And then a couple of weeks down the line, Cena comes out. No, I'm joking.
We have to watch that pay-per-view live.
I'm watching every fucking thing live. It's got to be from now to the end of time.
Everything has to be watched live. You don't want any surprises ruined.
No.
Because nothing, I know we go on about it, nothing tops that Sting surprise. Because literally there was no rumours about it. The thing is, these won't be as surprising as Sting. Because I saw nothing about him coming, whereas obviously it's all over the place that it's likely, more than likely, that they've signed Daniel Bryan and they've signed CM Punk. I don't think they've signed CM Punk. I don't know why. I've still got that thing. I think Daniel Bryan's looking like, many sources are saying this is a done deal.
Yeah.
So like that's thrilling in itself. Like, but I can't get my hopes up until he appears, because I know what WWE's like, fucking swooping in and I don't know. I need to see it before I truly believe it, as everyone I think should.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's just wait.
Yeah.
And see, because there'll be nothing more galling than, you know, you find out one of them's walked out on WWE, on Raw, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, the day after, because we're not watching that shit.
Yeah, it's just be so frustrating.
I mean, if that happens, that they just become another cog in that wheel, so it doesn't matter. So the whole thing with the CM Punk thing is really interesting to me, because the rumours start flying, and 2 days go past. And then after those 2 days, it like miraculously comes out that WWE are not interested in re-signing CM Punk. 2 days after. So what that said to me is they ain't interested now, but they were fucking interested 2 days ago. So that, because the thing with CM Punk and going back to WWE is, if he wants to do that, fine. And I've not been his biggest fan, like, over the last few years. I think he's a whining, whinging bitch who can't fucking keep his mouth shut. And a lot of that is, you know, I'm constantly on these wrestling news sites to try and get you some interesting content for us to talk about. And he has to sneeze, and he's the top story.
Yeah.
And for the last fucking 10 years, all I've seen is CM Punk's return, CM Punk's return. So at this point, a WWE CM Punk return, I couldn't give a shit about, because they're going to stick him up against Goldberg, and you know, look what they did to Edge. Like, Edge is like, you know,
it's as good as it gets in terms of a comeback. Edge, just because of the story, and you know, it's like you always say, how'd you fuck up Edge?
With that storyline, you know, he's coming back to take on a heel. He's come back from fucking retirement. He can wrestle again. It doesn't need anything else.
A perennial favourite that everyone has been dying to see come back. You know, whenever there's a discussion about wrestlers coming back, it's Austin for one more match. And it was always Edge, because Edge, he always looked like he could go. He always looked, you know, because he's not old. So it's mad. It is pure madness. I think, like, the interesting thing about Daniel Bryan and Punk, I know, like, Punk walked out and just left.
Do you remember why?
Wasn't it? I thought it was to do with them making him wrestle when he was injured.
That was a part of it, but it was also the opponent they give him at WrestleMania.
Oh, who was it?
Triple H.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, he didn't like that slot, did he?
No.
But fair enough.
So you're gonna get a better slot than that now, CM Punk? No, you're not.
Well, exactly. Yeah, no way. But like, he left. He just went AWOL. Disappeared, missing posters in the audience and all that shit. And Daniel Bryan has just left. Like, he didn't re-sign. You know, he was on the show and then disappeared. And I just think it's really, I don't know why, and I don't quite know what. There is something about that, though. Whereas I was more perturbed by the Moxley farewell party that WWE threw for him. I was like, what the fuck is this? If he turns up on AEW, he's clearly a fucking mole.
Which we said.
Yeah, like, he's clearly a mole, because, like, why are they doing this? They do this for no one. Like, why him? Why is he getting the big fucking send-off in a documentary and, you know, like a big goodbye? It was so fucking weird. But I like that Daniel Bryan hasn't... Because really, he didn't resign. But they would have done the same for him if he was going. They would have done some sort of, thank you, Daniel Bryan. Yes, big chant one last time, goodbye.
Yeah. But instead they did a career match where he lost.
Yeah. But I don't think that was with the... I don't think anybody thought he weren't going to come back.
No, because he said just from SmackDown.
Yeah.
So everyone thought, oh, he's going to turn up on Raw then. But he's just gone quietly into the night, quietly talking about Jungle Boy, New Japan. Yeah. And I think the thing for the Moxley, or the Dean Ambrose farewell, is it felt like, if we were in that same mould of... Because we kind of were at that time, because we were taking the piss out of AEW a little bit and saying that 100,000 pay-per-view buys was shit, which I'm still saying it is, but not for a company of that size. It's, you know... But it felt like a retirement. It felt like Ambrose was retiring. And Ambrose was retiring, but Moxley was going to kind of come back if you were going to look at it from a weird point of view. But that's what they made you feel. That's what I felt watching that. Because I felt like, oh, Ambrose is retiring. Like, he's not going somewhere else. But obviously he is going somewhere else. Which makes you think, how many other people have they kind of done that to? And where they've then gone somewhere else? Oh, yeah,
probably loads and loads. I don't know whether you had it as something to talk about, like, during the podcast later, or if you even did, about... I'm sure you mentioned it before, didn't you?
What?
About, like, do you think it'll make any real difference?
Yeah, so that's my next question to you. Yeah. Is how much are these signings a game changer? Are they or aren't they?
Do you know what? I think they are. I really, really do. I think, like, there's no other two signings for me that would make people watch AEW for the first time. And then it's up to, you know, like, great booking to keep those people. I think they could grow their audience with those two. So many people are going to tune in and watch CM Punk come back. So many people are going to want to see that if that happens, if it's true. Because he just disappeared one day and no one ever really got any closure or answers, and that's why you get the chance, because he left and so abruptly and we got nothing. Yeah. And he wasn't like he was, you know, on his downers. He wasn't, you know, he was just CM Punk, and everyone still loved him and wore his t-shirts at every show. So, like, I think you'll get a lot of people who haven't given AEW the time of day who'll watch it for the first time because of those two people. Because then it's like, fuck, it's one thing getting someone like Moxley. Because Moxley's a big fucking deal in WWE, but he wasn't...
He's a bigger deal now.
The legacy as Dean Ambrose, you know, he was in the Shield and then he, you know, became fucking the lunatic or whatever the fuck they did with him. But it was short. It was really compressed and short, and it wasn't enough to make you go, oh wow, they've got Moxley. Yeah. He wasn't enough. You know, like, the older stars are like, oh, intriguing, Sting. But that's not enough. But when you've got someone like Daniel Bryan coming in, who's
arguably the best in the world,
you know, like,
and then
talk about going viral. Like, he's like, yes, chant went viral, you know, it totally broke into the public zeitgeist and all that shit. And then you've got Punk, who everyone's been waiting for that return. I think for AEW, I would be amazed if they didn't see an increase in viewership. And then, like I say, it's up to them to keep those viewers, which I think, I mean, I'm biased, so, like, they'd keep me. Yeah. But then I don't know whether they would... I think they'd have to pull out, like, all the big guns, really, for, like...
Yeah, they're going to have to think about it.
Just to keep them, and just to put, you know, like, psychologically put together a show that makes people go, fuck, this is actually really good. I've been slagging it off for the last 2 years. Yeah. I think I might be a convert. I think I might enjoy it. Which means they have to put a shit hot women's match on. It's got to be perfect. Yeah. You know, you can't have a botch fest. You know, like, it's got to be... You know, I always say that based off of this week. which we know why.
Yes.
But, like, it's
well,
got
we don't know why, because we don't know when that happened.
True.
But I've got some thoughts on that, which
but
we'll get to.
It's I think it is game changing. I think, like, merchandise wise, CM Punk t-shirts are gonna be like hotcakes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fucking mad. Every cunt's gonna be wearing one when you go to an AEW show.
Probably from now.
Yeah, if he released a top now,
yeah,
or even just his
he's
old,
got his
range,
his pro wrestling tees.
Yeah,
you know, which is always a top seller. CM Punk's always a top seller on pro wrestling tees, but
and it's the same with Daniel. And do you know? Sorry to interrupt you.
Go.
Do you know what intrigues me about Daniel Bryan? Is that, or Bryan Danielson, as I'll start calling him, but like, they did so much mad shit with him in WWE. So the Yes stuff was great, and when he was champ, brilliant. But then, like, after that, you know, like, they started to sort of like pander a little bit to who he was, but while taking the piss out of him at the same time. It's like having the wooden belt. You know, like, the t-shirts that are on sale on the shop now are just like trees, and stuff. And it became like a bit of a joke, like some eco fucking... Yeah, it's like some eco warrior environmentalist. And I know that's a huge thing for him, but they weren't doing it in a way that highlighted the issues that he's important with. They did it in a way to take the piss out of him. Yeah. So I'd be really keen to see Bryan Danielson, like, what he wants to actually be. And I imagine it's just straight wrestler. It's just him. It's just that guy. But it's like, I'd like to see, you know, like, what t-shirts and what branding he actually wants. Because it has become a fucking joke. And really, the Yes stuff was a bit of a joke. Team Hell No and all that. You know, it was always... It was fun. No, I loved it. But it was like, it was always comedic.
Yeah.
It was always a bit sort of taking the piss out of him. B+ player shit when he was rising up the ranks, and obviously they did that to elevate him. But it would be nice to see him not the butt of a joke and not kind of ridiculed for his beliefs and all that shit, or, you know, them used against him to make him look like a twat. So I'd be keen to see how he presents himself and how he comes across, and, you know, maybe more normal, and maybe how he actually is. Yeah,
definitely. It's going to be really interesting to see what it is they actually do with either of them.
Because he wants full creative control, of course, doesn't he? Like, that's the rumour, and you would imagine that everybody does who comes in wants full creative control.
Yeah.
Who's of a certain, like, level, which is, you know, fair enough. And you can with Daniel Bryan, because... you know, anything he does is going to be great. And it is going to be brilliant. He's going to have some great matches. And he's a super face. I can't see him bringing him in as a heel. No. I can't see that happening.
They've got enough heels.
Yeah, so he's going to be a super face. You know, and I know it's like face versus face, but him and Jungle Boy would make a great match. I know that would be impossible, really. You'd be cheering them both on.
I think they both need to stay away from Jungle Boy. Because he's done enough jobs for these guys. Yeah. Like, at the moment. They need to start really building him towards, like, potentially, after all this madness has stopped, the next challenger. So that means they need to keep him away. And they're kind of sowing the seeds with that. If you saw on the run-in that they showed on Dynamite of, I can't remember who it was, but, like, Christian Cage and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus came out. Luchasaurus put... Christian Cage on his shoulders, and Jungle Boy just gave him a little look. And in 3 months' time, it's going to be Jungle Boy against Christian.
Yeah, of course.
It's a little look, the little seeds they plant.
Absolutely is.
Absolutely. Now, G1 starts September 18th.
Yeah.
Which is before this Arthur Ashe show. So if he wants to be in that G1, he's going to have to be debuting before that.
That's a good point.
If AEW is going to sign him and do all that kind of stuff. Now, he can still debut on this Arthur Ashe show and do something maybe in the Tokyo Dome for January. Because that gives him a few months of build, few months of AEW, a few months of New Japan. Mm-hmm. But that would say to me that he's not going to be in this year's G1.
Yeah.
Which is tough. Because I think if COVID wasn't a thing, I think Daniel Bryan would already be in New Japan.
Yeah.
And solely in New Japan. But AEW is a facilitator now. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, if this announcement's got anything to do with the G1, and they're going to do some like, you know, big crazy fucking show like September time beforehand. I mean, I know they're doing like, they can't because they've got All Out on, is it the 8th or something like that?
It's a mind fuck, innit? Like, but
I tell you what, it could be the week before the G1.
Okay, yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan, you know, so it's to say it's like the 11th. It's that ironically, what's the 11th? Is it a Wednesday?
Don't know.
It feels like it should be a Wednesday.
Don't know.
So we got here. So we've got.
I don't think it is. You're talking August?
September. So when is All Out? Is it the fucking? Is it the 11th or something?
You're saying like a lot of event names at me, and I've lost that. There's that much shit going on. I don't even know anymore.
Jesus!
I know, it's insane.
Right, let me find out when the fuck All Out is.
It's the summer of wrestling. This is the summer of wrestling.
The summer of Cena. Yeah,
but the thing is, though, like, bringing Cena back, bringing The Rock back, all this shit going on with Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, just Punk coming back on his own makes it a summer of wrestling that you would remember.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, he left 10 years ago pretty much. Well, not 10 years ago, but, you know, like, he's been gone a while.
Yeah, it's about 10 years, yeah.
And, well, no, because, like, we were watching him when we got together. We got together in 2012. We watched him for a couple of years. Oh, yeah. It was the summer of Punk 10 years ago, I think.
Okay.
But he left about 2014, didn't he, or something like that? But that on its own is enough to put this, like, this year on the map. And so much of a shit's happened.
Yeah.
Like, and I know, like I say, WWE, we don't watch it, but bringing back Cena and fucking Rock, which is, you know, apparently going to happen, isn't it? But, like, no, we don't care, but it's a big fucking deal, isn't it? Yeah. And I know it's all about bringing people back and people who are very established moving, and I know, like, some wrestling stalwarts will be like, oh, what about the young talent? Oh, no, it's all...
Well, for WWE, that's the case. For AEW, they actually do something with their young talent, hence why Darby Allin's so over, hence why Britt Baker is so over. You know, people who haven't been on national TV on another company...
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
They've got their own stars. They've got Jungle Boy. Kenny Omega's never been on American TV in that way. Hangman's never been... Look at Hangman. Hangman's getting cheered out of every fucking building he's walking into. And it doesn't matter, like, you know, who it is or where it is that he is. It's not just because of the fact that the last two shows have been in Texas and it's the cowboy-related stuff. He'll do that from when they go Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for the Malachi Black Cody Rhodes match being at Daly's Place when they're only going to have 1,000 people in there, and they've got all these others that are having 6,000 people, and you putting that match on at Daly's Place, it just seems like a bit of a shitter. But yeah, so that's on the 5th. Dynamite is then on the 8th. They'll have another one on the 15th, and I think they've got Rampage going on as well. And then the 22nd is the Arthur Ashe Stadium in Dynamite, the Wednesday the 22nd. So the G1 starts on the 18th. And they've only announced, like, Japan shows. So if he wants to be in that as well, he's got a debut before that Arthur Ashe Stadium.
True.
But I don't think he will. Because that's what everybody's kind of saying. So I don't think he is going to be in the G1. I think he'll just turn up in New Japan when he turns up. When Jericho fancies going back over again. Be on that fucking 10-hour plane ride with fucking Jericho.
Wish it on anyone.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan just puts his headphones on and he's still going.
Daniel Bryan would be like, just like, you know, sat at a table with Tony Khan, just like, I imagine him just turning the pages of the contracts, and it's both really quiet and respectful. Daniel Bryan just looking up with a moment of realisation, being like, shit, do I have to do that fucking podcast? Have I got to do that fucking podcast with him?
Probably.
It's like, it's mandatory, man. Read the contract.
Jericho will just be in the corner of the room, just like...
Yeah, that's him going, it's mandatory, man.
Mandatory, man.
Like that scene in Dark Knight where the light comes on and Batman's behind the Joker in that. You just turn the light on and Jericho's just there.
In his Painmaker garb.
Dark as Jericho, man.
Baby. Oh, Christ.
Oh, he never fails to make us laugh.
I know. He's such a piece of shit as well. Like. But the so how big of a game changer do I think it's going to be?
Sorry, I never returned the question.
No, it's okay.
I'm going to get some water, actually.
Can I have some sort of can?
Yes. Would you like Pepsi, or would you prefer a Vimto?
I'll have a Vimto. I'll have a cheeky Vimto can, please. Not a cheeky Vimto.
Oh, Jesus, get some port in there.
It's hard, really. I mean, because we'll get onto the ratings for this week in a second, and I'll do a rundown of the show as well. If I was to put a number on it, where do I think Bryan and CM Punk take AEW? It's hard because they've got momentum themselves, so I can see it going up. Like, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think you're going to have just a steady thing at the moment because they have. It feels like they've got a fuckload of momentum. You know, because like Malachi Black and Andrade are two, in my opinion, two massive signings as well.
Yeah.
Maybe 1.5, 1.6.
Okay, so you actually put that number on.
I'm putting a number on it. I think the Dynamite after they both debut will do 1.6. That's my prediction. So, Fyter Fest. Did you get me a drink?
Oh my god, I didn't. God, what an arsehole.
Don't be daft. Fyter Fest Night 2, so the ratings 1.148 million. So up 12% from last week's, and the third highest audience for the show since it debuted. So Dynamite is averaging exactly 1 million viewers over the last 10 Wednesday night airings. So it's considerably up from what they were doing when they were going head-to-head with NXT. Dynamite also drew a 0.44 rating, which is up 10% from last week as well. And that is beating Raw.
Wow.
So they've beat Raw in the demo for 2 weeks running. No, I think it's the average. I don't think it's two. I think the 1.9 from last week with Cena being on it beat them. But the average, the beating the average over the last 3 weeks type thing.
Okay.
So ticket sales for that night was 5,688 for Fyter Fest Night 2. The capacity was 6,168, but they did put 2 new sections in. 3 new sections in the day of the show. So they added an extra 400 tickets to the show, but only sold an extra 100 tickets of them. So there was about 300 of the extra tickets that they put on that weren't sold. But if they hadn't have put them on, so it was about 400 tickets in total. If they hadn't have put them on, they still wouldn't have just sold out. They would have had like about 20 or 30 tickets left, which they probably would have said was a sellout.
Yeah, of course.
So let's run on the show. So first we get the first labour of Jericho versus Shawn Spears in a match where Shawn is the only one who can use a chair. I can't speak higher about Shawn Spears. I just think he's great.
Yeah, he is.
I think acting wise, he's absolutely spot on. And I go back to kind of what I said previous when he had that match with Cody. And he's like sat on the chair and there's just like a spotlight on him, and I just can't speak higher of him. I think he's great. I think he's so good, and he can easily slip in anywhere. He slipped into this Pinnacle as like, you know, giving a guy a chance type thing, but they've used him more than FTR, and I know that FTR is going to get used next week and all this kind of shit, but.
Well, it's a good thing, though. Do you think it's been a good thing for him?
Yeah, because he weren't doing anything else.
No.
And I think maybe it might have just been circumstantial where they wanted Tully to be a part of it. And he's like, well, we might as well put Shawn Spears as part of it as well. I'm sure that wasn't the case, but I just think he's great. I just think he's so good. Like all the little looks he gives to the crowd, and, you know, I just can't speak higher of him.
I think a lot of people think the same, because obviously Kyle is a big fan, isn't he? Kyle Masters.
Yeah.
Isn't that the Canadian thing? Always helps,
I'm sure.
When it's your fellow brethren. Yeah. But no, like he is. He's always been good, though. He's always been good.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, you know, he looks the part. So you kind of think, why have you never been the man?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Like, why is that? Well, then hopefully things might change, though.
I mean, he's had a few really high-profile spots recently. He's had the Sammy Guevara ending to Double or Nothing. He's the first labourer of Jericho. We'll get onto the second labourer in a second. But it seems like, because like everybody kind of thought, is okay, it's the 5 labourers of Jericho. He's going to be going against the 5 members of the Pinnacle before he's going to get to MJF. That might not be the case now. It might have just been Sean Spears, because obviously you've got FTR and Santana Ortiz going at it. Maybe they'll, the week after they might go back to Wardlow or something like that. But it might be a surprise every week now. Yeah. So speaking of surprises, I couldn't fucking believe this.
I was in bed while you were watching this live because this was the first, obviously.
Yeah,
the first.
So opening segment.
And I heard you go, "Oh my god, oh my god," and I was like, "What the fuck has happened?" And then that was it. I never heard you speak again.
So Jericho had the same reaction that everybody had, as in Jericho's fucking dead. Like, and we'll talk about what happened last night as well to poor Nick. But Nick Gage walks out. So MJF's on the mic and he says, "You're going to have to go in a no disqualification match against a guy who robbed a bank without a block." And as soon as he said that, I went, "No." And that's why I was saying no.
You're like, "Oh my god."
Like, "Oh my god, no." I was like, "No." I felt like it was too much.
Yeah,
I was like, "This is too much." And then, like, the camera, like, Nick Gage comes out and he fucking whaps his pizza cutter out. Camera flips around to Jericho, and I'm looking at Jericho going, "You're insane." Like, I'm literally talking to him going, "You're a nutcase." Like, on paper, if you're going to do a no disqualification match and you're going to get the king of the death match at the moment, it's not Zack Ryder, but we'll talk about that later. If you're going to get the king of the fucking death match, the guy that Moxley's been stalking for months in GCW, and it's a because it's a throwaway. Like, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. These 5 labours of Jericho, he's going to have to pass all 5.
Yeah.
Because the match going into All Out will be Jericho against MJF. So he's got to beat all these guys.
How is Nick Gage not the 5th one? Like, what can you do after that?
Fuck
what can
knows.
you do for 3, 4, and 5? Because they've got to get progressively more difficult. That surely is the point. So what the fuck? Like, what?
I've no idea.
Is it going to be like a handicap match, like against like many people? Like, and then how can Jericho realistically win them all if number 2 is Nick Gage?
Because this ain't believable.
No.
Because the thing, and I've got a theory, so I'll go into theory in a second. He's like, so MJF is obviously a massive heel, but like Gage comes out and gets a pretty decent pop.
Yeah.
For a guy that's just doing GCW shows and that kind of stuff. And I know he had the Dark Side of the Ring thing for him, but how many of these people have actually watched that? We're talking when it's streamed, it's like 200,000 people who are watching these Dark Side of the Ring shows. So how many people actually know who the fuck he is? Not many. But yeah, he still gets a decent enough pop. But to me, it can't be straight. Jericho can't go over him in a death match, because that's basically what they're going to do. He's got his pizza cutter out, he'll have all his light tubes, and light tubes, like if you watched Matt Cardona and Nick Gage from last night's GCW, when they hit when they hit with these fucking light tubes, they bleed instantly. They instantly cut open.
It's the powder as well that comes off them.
Yeah. Because
they explode into such tiny pieces.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds like a bit dramatic, but you breathe that shit in.
Yeah.
That's like gazillions, like tiny shards of glass powder that you're just going to be breathing in when you're having those matches.
Yeah, imagine Nick Gage's lungs aren't going to be looking good.
No way.
But I couldn't believe that this was the way they're going. Because Jericho's going to get fucked up, and he's got to do another one next week. So the only way you can get out of this is do a couple of, relatively kind of safe blood spots, which is what I think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to be doing some of the shit that they were doing last night. So I think the light tubes will come out. I think Jericho will blade himself. I don't think he'll let him do him. I mean, the pizza cutter doesn't do anything anyway. But it's a great image. So what I think will happen here is it's going to be a bit of a no contest type thing.
Right.
And I think people will come out and attack Gage. Because I think I wouldn't be surprised with the way things have happened this weekend if Gage ain't signing for AEW.
I was about to ask you that, because it's all very like opportune signing, and obviously I think that there is a desire, isn't there, for AEW to do more shit like that. I know certainly the people working in AEW, certainly some of them want to do more of that shit.
Yeah.
So,
and there may be a reason why Moxley dropped the IWGP US title as well. Who knows? But there's got to be something. There's got to be something that gets fucking Jericho out of this. Because if it's a straight death match, he's going to have to win. But I just don't think people are going to believe it. I think AEW fans as a whole will believe it because they won't know who Nick Gage is. But I think GCW fans and people who know who Nick Gage is are going to go bullshit.
It's a bit tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tough to have as your second one.
Labour, yeah.
Like that's not cool.
I mean, if this is the second one and they're going to go up from here, then it's fucking very cool, because fuck knows what they're going to do for 3, 4, and 5. But if it's not going to be Pinnacle members and they are getting in just people from the outside, you know, you got a couple of new people signing maybe who can be 4 and 5.
It's an elaborate audition process. It's like Eddie Kingston all over again.
Yeah, definitely. So, next bit. Wheeler Yuta against Darby Allin. Wheeler Yuta's great, and I love him on when he's on New Japan Strong as well. But there was only one thing in this match that's worth talking about, and that's Sting and Orange Cassidy. Oh, yeah. This was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was so funny. And the fact that Sting was the one who initiated it, and they're doing the little half kicks back and forth when he banged his chest, and it's just like he's just moving the wrist.
It's half-assed,
like, oh my god, it was the fucking greatest fucking thing ever.
I'd love it if that was an extended GIF. I imagine it probably is.
I'm sure it will be. Of just him banging his chest.
Just any part of it, really. Just a little kick.
I'm sure if you typed in Orange Cassidy Sting into it, it'll come up.
I'm going to do it right now. And if it's there, I'm just going to post the GIF with no context.
Well, no, don't post it, because I'll use it for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sting.
Because for tweets, which has not been up very long.
Who would have thought there'd be so many Sting off of the Police GIFs when you type in Sting?
Oh, yeah. Is it on there? Yep. Okay, we'll use it. A couple of tweets. Let's just quickly read these out. So we got at Chris Oryx 31 said this week he went to a Catch Pro Wrestling event, which was on at Academy 2. Fun show, lots of theatrical booing of Scousers. Yeah, well, that's something that we know about, and good matches. Maybe that's something to look out for if it's on in Manchester again. And Axel J _JMO has put another one. So Daniel Bryan is a done deal. Punk is expecting soon too. This is mad. With them two talents on the show, they can use them in long-term booking. It'll be amazing. I'm doubtful AEW will be over this calendar year. It's getting... Oh, over here, you mean? We'll be over this calendar year. It's getting a bit late now. I think it's more March, May 2022. Well, they're still doing that Cardiff Comic-Con. So don't lose hope yet, Axel. Don't use hope just yet. They're still doing that Comic-Con, so they've got to do fucking something. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just one house show or some shit, just to test the water. Yeah. So up next, Britt Baker retains. Now, this was not good. Not good at all. But
just as a side note, actually, the message in America now is Americans aren't allowed to travel to the UK.
Are not allowed.
No. Because of our COVID situation. You're still allowed to travel if you're from the UK in there, which I think is like a bit bizarre. So I would imagine maybe the rules are going to change regarding who they let in. But yeah, right now it says Americans, US nationals can't travel.
But is that them saying it to them, or is it us saying it to them?
It's them saying it to them.
Right. But then, because if it's us saying it to them, that doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't mean a thing. Yeah, so maybe you're right then, Axel. Maybe you're right. So yeah, Britt Baker retains. So it was a bit all over the place. I liked the Eddie Guerrero spot. I thought that was fun because Britt Baker's still a heel, So they're both trying to out-heel each other in that situation. I've seen a few people complaining about it, saying that it didn't work because Nyla, and we got a couple of tweets like this, and it just, Nyla shouldn't have thrown the belt to her and pretended to have been hit. Go back and watch it again. She doesn't. It's astounding how what people see what they want when they want to complain about things. And yeah, we can be maybe I'm guilty of that with WWE sometimes, but you've got to, if you're going to complain about something, you've got to actually watch what happened. You can't just create your own narrative about something that happened and then call it shit. So Britt Baker is the champion. She wants to be disqualified because she's a heel, even though she's getting cheered out of the building. So she throws the belt to Nyla and does a bump. Vicky Guerrero, because obviously her husband is the one who invented this spot. Well, maybe not invented it, but made it popular. Can see what she's fucking trying to do and grabs the ref's foot. So then Britt Baker stands back up. Nyla Rose gets the belt and throws it to Britt. So Britt's got it in her hand and she's pleading with her not to hit her. That's the difference. She doesn't take a bump like she's been hit, because then Britt Baker could have got disqualified and retained the title. She's pleading with her not to hit her. The ref's going, "Well, what are you doing with that belt? Put it down." She puts it down and she instantly hits the Beast Bomb to try and win. Watch the fucking show if you're going to complain about something. It drives me mad. Like, it's a complete... Anyway, but I liked that spot. But before we go through the rest of the card, AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker has suffered a broken wrist during the successful victory on Fyter Fest Night 2. Baker defeated Rose to retain the title, but she said she's not going to be taking any time off and suffered the injury during a Death Valley Driver spot, which I don't remember exactly when that was. So who knows, that might have been really early on, which might have been why there was a few botches. So it could have been the reason why it was a bit all over the place. But it was uncharacteristically all over the place to some bits.
Yeah.
So that was that. Dark Order and Hangman face off with the Elite. This is great. So after the Frankie Kazarian Luke Gallows match, which went over like a fucking ton of bricks, out comes Kenny to beat up Kazarian. Hangman makes a save, gets a massive pop. Dark Order come out as well, massive pop, and that's going to set up next week's elimination match, which is going to be cool as fuck. Now, I've heard a few things on this, so I can't remember where I saw it, but there's a theory going round, because obviously the Dark Order are the one that are pushing Hangman towards doing this. So, if you were going to debut Punk and Bryan earlier, and you want to put them in the world title picture or whatever, a legit way you can get out of the Hangman thing. Now, do I want them to get out of the Hangman thing? No, because he's massive. And he's your own star. You've got to see this to its conclusion. But a really interesting way to get out of it with this elimination match, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do, is early on, Hangman eliminates Omega. Right? Then Hangman gets eliminated himself. So his title shot now rides on the shoulders of the rest of the Dark Order, who then lose. So he beats Kenny Omega, pins him 1, 2, 3. Omega's the first elimination, because you know he's not asked about making himself look like a tit. Then Hangman's the next one out. After 5 minutes of back and forth, Hangman's the next one out. He gets rolled up, they cheat in some way, Hangman gets eliminated. So then Hangman's, not only are their tag team titles on the line, Hangman's AEW title shot is on the line as well. And that's a relatively good story to carry on, because it's Dark Order was the one who pushed him into it. Dark Order was the one who cost-sitted him. So who knows? But I thought that was a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to do that. I think Hangman's going to win. And he's going to pin... I think Kenny's going to be the last to be eliminated, probably, but Hangman's going to be the one who eliminates him. Interesting. Chavo Guerrero is the new manager, or whatever he is, of Andrade. Got a massive pop when he came out. Out come the Death Triangle. They're back and forth. Great. Any match with Andrade and any member of the Death Triangle would be fantastic. So that'll be good. Blade and Orange Cassidy was a decent match for the fans because they kind of set it up earlier. Blade hit him with the brass knuckles, and that's how we finished. But the other way around, well, not finished, but that was the ending shot of Cassidy smacking Blade with the knucks, and we get the main event. So Moxley against Archer, IWGP US Heavyweight Title, Texas Death Match, or Texas whatever. I think it's Texas Death Match, and this was fucking great. You got the back chair shot, which was disgusting. That was the worst spot for me. You got Archer in his hometown. You think about all the times WWE, how people book people in their hometowns, they lose every time. Because they fucking love it. They love doing that to the hometown fans. I think this ain't right. But I saw a tweet at the time, and I can't remember who it was, but it's somebody who follows us, but they put the last time I think somebody won in their hometown from WWE was the British Bulldog at SummerSlam 92. Which I don't think's right, but it was very, very funny. But they normally do that. They normally book the hometown guy to lose. I'm sure there's a few times. I think like Edge had a few when he was in Canada or whatever. But yeah, so this is absolutely brutal. Finished with a chokeslam off. There was a bit where he hits the paradox. I don't think the crowd quite knew it was supposed to be a 10 count. Because he just said it was knockout or submission. That's the only way you can win. So I don't think the crowd quite knew, because there was a bit where like Lance Archer hit a move and didn't go for the pin. And there was a few confused looking faces. Right. But they got into it by the end when I think they both started, they both was counting themselves. So that's when the penny dropped. Moxley hits the weird new looking paradigm shift, which is actually just a fisherman suplex. And Archer pops up after 4, just middle fingering the fucker, going, come on, and then off they go again. There's all sorts of shit being used. What they need to fucking do, right, and they've been doing this long enough to know now, is when somebody is blading, get the camera off them. So Moxley's got a trash can, and Archer punches the trash can. He flat back bump, is the back, and you can instantly see Moxley going into his wrist, taking a blade out of his wrist and doing that on his forehead. Oh, God, so and then he puts it back, and then the camera cuts. Oh. And then he gets up and there's no blood on him. And I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't just see him blade. And then he does one run on the rope, comes back, and it's streaming. Oh, fuck. So obviously there was a bit of delayed reaction. But yeah, the finish, chokeslam through the barbed wire tables, or the barbed wire on top of the tables on the outside. Moxley can't make the 10 count. Got a new IWGP US Heavyweight title champion, and in comes the debut in Hikuleo, who's been on New Japan Strong quite a lot. He's a great wrestler. He is the brother of Gorillas of Destiny, the son of is it Great Haiku? I can't remember, but more importantly, he's the brother of Gorillas of Destiny. And you can fucking tell just by looking at him, he's massive. Yes, and I'm sure Lance Archer isn't in many situations where he's looking up at someone. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think it's just a straight match. But he had his Bullet Club t-shirt on. He'll probably come out to the Bullet Club music. I'm happy. It's a good show. It's a damn good show. Strong show. 1.148 million for that. Good. And that's before the rumours started, I think. Was it?
No.
Ah, balls. Maybe that's why.
Maybe. Because we were talking about it before, weren't we, on Wednesdays?
We were. But that's when they were just rumours. Apparently now it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So, last couple of bits of AEW news. So Cody Rhodes has tweeted out before Wednesday night's Dynamite the company is going to be starting its own community outreach team. So the tweet reads, quote, very privileged to announce with the blessing of Tony Khan, our new community outreach team and department. We have a mission to do something positive in every community we visit. So contact us here to help identify the best charities / partners. So that's community.impact@allelitewrestling.com. And in the picture you got Mark Henry. Mark Henry's in there, so that's what he wanted to do. So I'm sure that's one of his ideas. Big Show's in there. The what's his name? Is it Sean Deeb or something like that? The commander. He's a part of it as well. and a couple of other people that I don't recognise. So that's quite cool. So I think they've already tweeted about the first thing that they're doing for... Where the fuck was that? Ooh, Ricochet's on main event again after that amazing performance in the Money in the Bank. Not cool. Surprised by that.
It's Finn Balor's birthday today.
Is it?
Yeah, he's 40 today.
He's 40. Wow. Doesn't look a day over 12.
Doesn't.
Where we are? Oh, here we go. So AEW is teaming with the Wounded Warrior Project. Your donations will empower, employ, and engage veterans for their next mission. Donations over $20 will also be eligible for 2 tickets to Dynamite's homecoming in Jacksonville. Well, they're only doing 1,000 for that, so they can't fucking give them tickets away at the moment. But front and centre in the picture, and somebody who they didn't announce was going to be a part of the community outreach team, is one Thunder Rosa. So Thunder Rosa is now signed with All Elite Wrestling full time. Company made the announcement, I think, just after Dynamite. She quoted as to say, "Never in my life doubts that I would be where I want to be. Today is one of the biggest accomplishments in my career. Today, one of the biggest accomplishments in my career has been announced. Some I can't pronounce. It's finally where she belongs." So the interesting thing with this is Thunder Rosa was obviously contracted to NWA. AEW have bought out the NWA contract.
Crikey.
Because they've been using her quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, loads, yeah.
You know, and then NWA did a post that said, "You'll always be part of our family," and all that kind of stuff. It was all very, very nicey. And finally, on my AEW roundup this week, Emi Sakura is going back to the United States, and that's to AEW. So it's good to see her back in there. I think it's the Queen one, the trainer. Okay. So I think from what I gather, there's going to be an on-screen element to it as well. But like with the Japanese bracket of the women's tournament, most of them were her students. So I think she's going to come over and help Deeb do a bit of coaching, which is pretty good. WWE. A new date's been set for Volta versus Dragunov for the United Kingdom Championship, and it'll now take place at TakeOver 36, Sunday, August 22nd. It was supposed to be on just a regular episode of NXT UK, but Volta suffered an injury to his left hand, which made it be rescheduled. I'm going to be watching me some of that. NXT averaged 709,000 viewers this week, which was up 4,000. Highest viewership since May the 4th, though, and it was going up against the NBA Finals. So that's quite an impressive number, really. So maybe they'll get 850, 900 next week, who knows? Which tells you one thing, people don't give a shit. NXT people who are watching that on a Tuesday night don't give a fuck what happens on a Monday, which is surprising and good.
Yeah.
So WWE will also kick off 2022 with the first ever New Year's Day pay-per-view to be held at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. It'll host a WWE pay-per-view that has not yet been named, and tickets go on sale August 27th.
What's it going to be called? The New
Year's Dash.
Day Bash.
I'm sure they did New Year's Dash or something,
really?
or New Year's Bash.
New Year's
Maybe.
Bash. Yeah, it's got to be on.
Goodness gracious, great balls of New Year's Dash. Could not give a fuck, and I bet those wrestlers are very happy to be working that show. So interesting enough, the Atlanta, Georgia SmackDown, the one that was cancelled because of poor ticket sales, is the place they're going back to for this. So we'll see.
Try again.
Finn Balor.
Happy
birthday, Finn Balor. So SmackDown ended with Universal Champion Roman Reigns accepting a challenge from Balor. A match wasn't officially announced and wasn't made clear when this would be taking place. But question for you, Jem.
Yes.
A question for all of you as well. What does that say about Finn Balor?
So he didn't accept Cena's invitation.
Nope.
But he accepted Balor's.
Yep.
So Balor is collateral damage and will lose, and then it will be the Cena thing. So Balor's just chucked in there essentially to lose. Is my thoughts on that? Same. You agree? He does that long sigh suggests you do agree.
In the wake of AEW's recent potential future signings, the great commenter, not reporter, Dave Meltzer, put in his Wrestling Observer newsletter that WWE is interested in bringing Braun Strowman back.
Oh, of course they are.
Of course they are. We said this weeks ago, Dave. Come on, get with the programme. New Strowman merchandise surprisingly dropped on the WWE shop this week, raising questions as to whether the 37-year-old has been re-signed already. While active on social media, Strowman hasn't given any hints into his future, and it's believed he was on a traditional 90-day non-compete, meaning he would be unable to work elsewhere until September unless WWE allows him to. Now, we kind of said that this is what they would do with him. Like, bring him back on a small contract.
Yeah.
However, this new merch dropping doesn't say to me that he's returning. It's saying to me that these fucking losers have done it again. Where they've put more merch out for somebody who's not even with the fucking company.
What's the style of merch?
It was just a Braun Strowman t-shirt. I think on the UK, it's not on the UK shop. It's only on the American one. So I haven't actually seen it. But I mean, they've got that new Alistair Black one up for £8 at the moment. It's like so. I wonder how much it cost you to print all those, and it's already on £8.
Do you know what? Like, I know we talked last time about how shit they are, but so just as Alistair Black's leaving, you can pre-order his top.
As the day he got sacked, they put that up.
Yeah, on pre-order.
Yeah,
and they might have re-signed Braun Strowman, which could potentially be a surprise. And instead of waiting for the guy to re-debut, his t-shirts are up. They can't do anything right. Like,
they literally can't do anything right.
It's
the
frightening.
Fucking spazzes.
Yeah, they are.
I know you're not supposed to say that anymore.
You're not, no.
But
it fits,
they are.
Yeah.
They're just complete fucking idiots. It just, I mean, I skirted over the Finn Balor thing for a reason, because I don't want to be here till 8 o'clock. But, you know, fuck this.
That'll be Finn Balor. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, folks.
Give a shit. I'll wait for him to turn back up in New Japan or AEW to be his fan again. Yeah. Give a fuck. He comes out like a grinning twat again. It's like, well, you're not the Prince. They might say the Prince on the fucking giant Tigertron they've got on there now. But he ain't the fucking Prince anymore. He's not doing the fucking gun banging anymore. He's coming out with a big grin on his face. I didn't even watch the segment. I was like, I can't. Like, if he gets that mic with a massive grin on his face and says, I want a challenger, yeah. I'm sure it was more to it than that. But fuck you. If he starts going on about, like, you know, fucking Irish demons and shit, like they're making Drew McIntyre going about the Loch Ness Monster, you can eat my ass. Like, you fuck off. No, I'm not getting into it. Let's get into something nicer. So that's me WWE roundup. They got enough on Wednesday. New Japan. So New Japan will soon have his biggest junior heavyweight star back. So Hiromu is now been cleared by doctors. He was at ringside doing the old commentary, which he's been doing for quite a while. Kind of publicly announced at the start of Wrestle Grand Slam that he's back and he's going to go for it. And he also had a little stare off with the winner of the junior heavyweight title match. We'll get to in a second. So first of all, no real entrance. Now that can be, so this is for Wrestle Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. Obviously people may have seen Tokyo Dome shows like the Wrestle Kingdom. It's a really great elaborate entrance. They're coming out of like a baseball dugout with a bit of smoke. It looks shit. And Phantasmo, when he came out, was like, where's the ramp? And I pissed myself because I was like, absolutely. But anyway, that was my only real complaint. Well, actually, I may have more. We'll see.
I'm going to just go for a week.
Go for it. So Chase Owens won the New Japan Rambo for the provisional KOPW 2021. So Toriano has no longer got it. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship was a good match. Went 20 minutes 56 seconds, I think. Yeah, 20 minutes 56. Where Ishimori and Phantasmo retained against Rocky Romero and Taguchi. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, 19 minutes 56. Robbie Eagles beat El Desperado in a very good match. That was really cool. Okada beats Jeff Cobb in 19 minutes 23. That was also a good match. IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, Taishi and Zack Sabre Jr. Dangerous Tekkers beat Naito and Sanada, so they got the titles back pretty much instantly in a very, very good match at 37 minutes 58 seconds. Longest match on the card. Now, I don't like Taishi, but he's a fucking great wrestler. But that fucking mic gimmick is the worst gimmick for me that I watch. There's probably worse, but it just winds me up, like needlessly winds me up, as you guys know. But him and Zack Sabre Jr., like, great as a tag team. Would I ever said I was a Zack Sabre Jr. fan? No, but he is very, 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 very good. So he's a lot better now. But it's a bit odd that, you know, the tag team titles have switched hands so quick. But anyway, and we get on to the main event, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Kota Ibushi could not get there because of his pneumonia that he's got. So we got Hiroshi Tanahashi as the replacement, and he kind of called his shot after beating Kenta the night before on a Summer Struggle. This had no right to be this good. No fucking right at all to be this good. 37 minutes, 27 seconds. So it wasn't as long as the tag team by like a couple of seconds, but fucking hell. Like, if they were doing what they were doing publicly, so they were literally leaving it till the day to announce whether or not Ibushi was going to be in this match, they must have had a few hours to put this shit together. And the professionals, they'll be able to go out there and put together a decent match, absolutely. But the level of match they put on for such short notice was stupid. So, like, key spots for me that had me out of my chair at some points. It was just mad because they made Tanahashi into this, like, really believable underdog, even though he's, like, potentially one of the greatest IWGP champions of all time. He's the underdog in this match, and he's the old guy, he's the old lion, you know, who's going against this fucking young new guy in Shingo, and he kicks out of, you know, it's the relatively, you know, normal back and forth, like the first 10 minutes is just a feeling out process with these long matches. He hits the Last of the Dragon, and he kicks out of it. Tanahashi kicks out of it, and then from that point we were fucking off, and they were hitting everything on each other. There was a top rope Last of the Dragon, or nearly, you know, a top rope fucking kind of a Death Valley Driver. He kicks out of this. Tanahashi gets him, gives him the Kamigoye, and then goes into the high five flow. The fucker kicks out of it. It was ridiculous. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then finally Shingo hits him with Last of the Dragon again and gets the 3. But what a fucking match. Like, anybody, you know, I saw a few things with Tanahashi got put in there. A few people were like, oh, Okada should have been put in there. But Okada's got that thing with Cobb going, and that was a great match. And you got to, you know, even though he beat Cobb, you still got to give him that. But fuck me, this was great. And, you know, get Tanahashi back in that fucking main event picture. Jesus wept. It was ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous. It was so good.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
We definitely got the match of the week. So New Japan Strong. We've got a final set now. It's the Gov Brothers against Violence Unlimited. And on New Japan Strong this week, filthy Tom Lawler beat Kojima via TKO rear naked choke. Oh, it's via submission. Oh no, he choked him out. Yeah, I get you. I've got a little bit on Impact. So I thought this was interesting. I said this to you the other day. So Jay White was never the original plan, according to these raggies. The original plan was Andrade, managed by Conan, to go into Impact. But they couldn't agree on financials. So Andrade basically priced himself out of that deal because he didn't fucking want to do it.
Crazy.
So in comes Jay White instead. But hey, I like that better. So this week's he kind of come out, did a bit of a promo saying he's the best, he's the real belt collector, he sold out MSG and all that kind of shit. Out come the Elite run him down. He says, you call him a wrestling god, this Kenny Omega, but I remember last time me and your boy were in a ring together, somebody was going to sleep. So then, in a top heel move, I mean, before that, there was this, I wish I showed it you. So, like, Jay White goes on for a bit, and Callis comes out with Good Brothers and Omega. And somebody in the crowd is shouting something at Callis, and the crowd are shouting, you got fired, and all that kind of stuff. Callis takes his jacket off, as if and Kenny's like, hold him back, guys, hold him back. He's like, calm down, Don, calm down.
Callis is so funny.
Callis is the fucking best.
Who was he then back in the day that you didn't realise?
Cyrus. He was the network representative for TNT. or was it TNT? I think it was. He was the network representative on ECW.
So funny.
Which was fucking, and I hated that fucking guy. Every time he got like pile drove or like whacked through a table, I was cheering. Little Andy was cheering.
So funny how you only discovered that a few months ago, that it was him.
It blew my fucking mind.
When you're watching like an old ECW thing, you were like,
yeah, and that's fucking Callis. I freaked out. And then when I tweeted it, we had like fucking 20 responses with all the other shit he's done when he's been in like WWE, and it's like, where the fuck? This guy's literally just been everywhere. But yeah, so he puts his jacket back on and starts giving Jay White shit. After White says, didn't I beat your boy for that US heavyweight title? Omega grabs the mic off him and goes, I think me and Don need to retire and have a bit of a chat. And he's like, yeah, you do that. And they just fucking ran off. Like, as soon as they mention him losing, he just goes off the back. But Chris Bay's now apparently part of the Bullet Club. I don't think they've aired that yet, where he actually holds up his T-shirt, but he ran in and made the save. But yeah, that's my Impact Roundup. I didn't really watch it, if I'm honest. So I've only got one more point before we go into matches of the week, topics and all that kind of shit. Matt Cardona is the new GCW World Heavyweight Champion. So he defeated Nick Gage on the first night of Game Changer Wrestling's homecoming events in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The finish of the match had Ricky Shane Page come out at first, helped by I think some other guys came out as well. Had Gage surrounded, they beat him down, but then someone else came out to help him, RSP, whoever that is. Then after helping him, he turned on him. Mm-hmm. So Cardona's covered in fucking blood. They did a spot with a suplex through a glass like table type thing, or they put like a sheet of glass over chairs, suplex onto the glass. That opened Cardona's shoulder up, and he was just a fucking mess, bleeding from the face, bleeding from the arms. It was crazy. But what was even crazier, so the two parts of it that were crazier was the intros and the finish, or after the finish. So Cardona comes out and he's getting fucking mobbed, and like there's like 4 security guys around him trying to stop these fans from getting at him. It looked scary to me. Then Gage comes out to For Whom the Bell Tolls, which I'm sure is what he normally comes out to, but I've never actually seen a full match. I've just watched like the YouTube highlights that they put up whenever they do a show. And he's basically crowd surfing. And the place is going insane. Like, he picks up a kid who's like dressed as him or something, who's got one of those face masks on. It was, and like the commentator's like, the kids love Nick Gage. It's like, yeah, he's got a pizza. Some guy had a pizza cutter as like a sign. That's hilarious. Like a giant pizza cutter, and he's like holding it up. So they fuck each other up basically, and Cardona gets the start of it. He's fucking covered in, Gage is covered in blood straight away. Then he pizza cutters him like round each so 4 times, and at the end, one of the crowd are like, over here, so he drags him over there and fucking pizza cutters him again. But yeah, I think you've got to have a little bit of respect for Cardona in this, because he took a lot of shit.
Absolutely.
It weren't just like Gage taking everything, which is what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But before the which is an interesting point of it. So before the interference, somebody's music hit to distract Gage, and it was Judas.
Oh, really?
So the crowd start going nuts, thinking Jericho's there.
Oh, no way.
But he weren't. And then I think somebody came out in like a hood, like a bit like when Cardona did the fake Moxley thing. Somebody comes out in a hood who's a similar build to Jericho, but Gage just kills this guy like straight away and then rips his hood off, and it's just a no mark. But then the commentator's like, "Oh, is this like a foreshadowing of Wednesday and all this kind of shit?" Then Cardona pins him. I've never seen a crowd turn on a show like this. It was fucking insane. He was dodging beer cans.
I know. Badly as well, because there
really
was too many
badly
coming at him. But to be fair though, he has like on Twitter really egged him on.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, so he knew that was going to be the reaction.
He's been fantastic.
Because like I saw one tweet where he said like, if I win, we're going to shake hands at the end like Hogan Rock.
Did he say that?
Yeah,
What's a Gage?
No, just
about Gage.
Just about the Gage match.
Oh,
like he was
God.
doing all shit like that. Going,
we're gonna shake hands like Hogan Rock. Oh my God, that's the
just
funniest
getting
fucking
like
thing.
proper trolling, like but like doing it in like a really cringe way. It's like, my bag's gonna weigh so much more when I win this belt, like at the airport. Just shit that's just like really annoying shit.
Yeah.
So he knew exactly what's gonna happen. Hence why he didn't get out of the ring when it was all coming in, because I think they knew.
Well, he sort of went down onto his knees. Yeah, they definitely knew, because he was middle fingering him and all that kind of stuff. It was great. He was perfect. It was a better version of Cena RVD One Night Stand. Because Cardona is quite unlikable for that kind of audience. Like, he is the internet champion guy. He is the woo woo woo, and he did the woo 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 and got people doing it along with him.
Really?
So it wasn't 100% booze, but it was probably 95. But oh fuck! And then
I do think he would struggle to work like these different companies as the super face he always has been. I think he had to go like use the super face flipped on its head to become the annoying heel. He had to, or else he's never going to get booked, because no one's going to book him because they've got their own faces. So you're not just going to book a random face. You have to be booked as a heel. You've got to come in and annoy everyone so that then you can put over their talents. That's the only way he continues working, to me.
Yeah, and I think he must have got a bit of respect from the crowd, because he was covered in fucking blood. And I've never seen him do anything like that before.
I saw a tweet from Renee at Chelsea Green saying welcome to the club.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, God.
In so many words, paraphrasing, but yeah.
Do you know what? I didn't even think about that. Is Chelsea Green tweeted?
I haven't seen anything. Oh, I think she just said she said like she was proud of him or something.
Right.
I think it was like a generic one like that.
Because it was quite hard to watch in places. Because I'm not a massive like deathmatch kind of guy, even though my matches of the week this week kind of say otherwise. But the